Alright, in this video we're going to look at the Dark Eldar Archon. This is the new plastic blister, relatively new. And so we'll take a look at this up close. And we'll do a little bit of an assembly video at the end, just showing the partial assembly before painting, because there's usually some stuff you want to leave off so you don't actually make it more difficult to paint, like the head, for example. So let's just open up this and take a close-up look at what's on the sprue. So zoom in a bit here. Okay, so we've got the single pose legs as per usual. We got a bit of the cape here. It's going to be in a couple different parts, so that's the flayed flesh sort of look. I can see we've got a spot there for some sort of a back decoration, and the back half of the torso is attached there. We've got some skulls. That's for the that goes in the back there, on the back side of the cape. And we have our sword, the other part of the cape. Let's see, here's a blast pistol, or a splinter pistol, I guess it is, and then the head. So there's not a lot of options. Actually, there's no options. There's a bit of a scenic base for him and some chains. So the other thing we see on here is the copyright, where is it, 2013. And so this came out sort of mid-2014, gives you an idea of how long it takes for these things to actually get into our hands. And there's the front of the torso. I think they missed that. So yeah, lots of nice detail. It looks as though the head could be swapped out with another head from regular Dark Eldar. Hard to say. I guess it probably could have different arms as well if you wanted to pose it a bit differently and do that sort of thing. So let's clip all these off, clean it up, and I'll come back and show the assembly. Alright, I've got all the parts cut out and trimmed up. I used my Citadel old style clippers just to clip them off the sprue, and a regular sort of X-Acto knife to clean up all of the edge bits. So I've got all my fiddly pieces here, and so I've got my instructions here as well. And so it looks like the idea is probably to assemble half the torso first and then attach them to the base. So I'm thinking that the head is going to stay off until the model is completed, and I'm not 100% sure about the cape. We'll kind of see how that goes together. So first things first, I think I'm going to glue the two sides of the legs together. So I'm using Tamiya extra thin plastic glue. If you're using super glue, you're doing it wrong. This stuff here, kind of like most plastic glues, if you put just a little bit on, put the pieces together, especially if they fit nicely, a little bit of a squeeze, and then they're together. So there's no weighting or anything like that, and there's no cleanup after, which is key as far as I'm concerned. Okay, and then the torso is going to go on here, so just a bit of glue. So with this stuff here, you can kind of put the glue on first and squeeze it together, just making sure that you don't get it on your fingers and leave fingerprints. Or you could put them together and then squeeze it all together after. So there's the main torso. Now let's make sure that those legs aren't pushing together the way they're... Okay. And then we've got the arms that are going to go across the chest here, which is kind of a weird pose. And because the body is such a static pose, I don't really know how else I would, you know, if I swapped out the arms here, I'm not sure that it would look any better. So I'm just going to put that in there. There's a bit of a little lip in there, or a slot, and so I'm just trying to line that up. It's always difficult to do this on camera. There we go. I think it just slides in like that. Okay. And you know what, I probably should have done the other one first, because it's going to go behind that one. So a bit of, see, there's the slot, and there's a bit of a peg on the arm. Yeah, so I'm going to get that one in there. I'll have to redo the other sword. So that's going to go in like that. Yeah, so if I did these after, or glue the head in and then try to paint it, it's going to be very difficult. So I'll just do that. See, so these are kind of lined up, and I'll put a bit of extra glue there. Make sure this looks like the front. I think it does. Make sure everything's lined up. I think I'm good. A bit more glue. Okay, so yeah, it's kind of a convoluted pose, but that's what you got. Okay, next I'm going to glue everything to the base here. Pick that up. Make sure those feet line up in there. A nice press, and there we go. So again, I don't know how else you would, if you wanted to convert this, if there's any other way to do that. So not a lot of options with this model, but I guess that's the idea of these plastic single pose guys, is that you have one of them in your army, and everybody who kind of collects Dark Eldar is going to need one of these guys, and that's all you got. So I don't think Dark Eldar are going to be moving over to 32mm, so that's okay. That fits nicely on there. And now it's just a matter of putting together this cape on the back here. So that's going to go in there, a little bit of glue. Oh, and my arm is coming loose. Just got to be careful with that. Now, if I wasn't doing a tutorial, I'd probably let these things dry a bit better before trying to put the next pieces all on. So let's get that on there. So that would be my advice for you, is letting these things dry. Now actually, when I put that back piece on there, there we go. Now I have a bit more to hold on to with the guy. And see if I can get this here on. Just going to use something a bit more fine to push it. And the great thing about the way that GW designs these is with those slots and the pegs or whatever, if you can just you can kind of push it in there with something else. So there we go, all lined up. And then I've got this piece of flayed flesh. I'm going to go along the side here, so get some glue on there. Let's see if I can get this lined up nicely. There we go. Put some glue along that seam just to make sure that everything is great. And then the last bits are, so yeah, like I said, I'm not going to put the head on. I'm going to put that piece on the back there. And then these are going to go on the front of his torso. Really fine details. Now these things, I guess depending on how you were painting it, you could put those on last, but they would be pretty fiddly to try to glue on there. Oops, and they're already fiddly enough to glue on. Oh my goodness. Alright, so this video will wrap up with some pictures at the end, and I'll have that glued on. And next up would be to prime this and paint it up. So there's your assembly and unboxing video of the Dark Eldar Archon.